That's cool. I've got two more questions. This one is a bit of
Yeah.
a heavy one, but
Okay.
then the one after that's easy. So, so the context behind this, I think you're one of the most qualified people to answer it because you've been in the trenches of the music industry for like 3 decades or near enough there. Um, in 2000, Lars Ulrich infamously sued Napster for copyright infringement, and there was this knee-jerk reaction from people that thought it was more motivated by greed. But to me, especially looking at it now, it feels more like it was a warning to the industry, and he was just looking out for the prosperity and preservation for future generations. So, what were your thoughts on it back then, and have they changed now?
I had never disagreed with. I understood what he was trying to do then. And you're right. A lot of people, I think fans, they s- they viewed it differently. Just as you said, big band, greedy. Um, I Here's what I do know. I think that if Napster never existed, where, in other words, where music could be just downloaded for free. Um, I'll even go so far as to say if Spotify didn't exist, if Apple Music didn't exist, and it were still you were still buying digital downloads, um, I would venture to say that concert ticket prices would would be significantly less today than
100%.
what they are.
Yeah.
Because because the reason why ticket prices are higher is because bands are charging more to the promoters to do the shows. And they're doing it because they're trying to make up for all of the revenue loss. And I think I think the I think the perspective gets lost with most people, and through no fault of their own. Um, just simply because they're not aware or understand the economics of how the music business works. Um, so what happens? Part of what happens is because bands are trying to make up for revenue lost. It's got
Yeah.
to be made up somewhere, right? It's
Yeah.
just like what we do in our with our personal finances. If we spend too much there, we got to cut back somewhere else, right? It's the same concept. But
The
here's some
reason why, well,
here's some perspective for anyone listening to this that to just kind of have a better picture. So before Spotify and music streaming, when you had to buy a digital download, it was 99 cents a song or something, right? Or $10 for the whole album, right? So the math would go, just I'm going to use Apple just for ease of explanation, but so Apple would take 30%. So now you got $7, right? So $7 would go to the label. And then out of that $7, the label would take a certain amount, and then the rest the artist would get. So, but let's look at it from an independent artist standpoint. Let's look at it as if Earshot weren't on a record label and we put out the record independently, just like we have. So, if streaming didn't exist and people wanted to listen to our record, they'd have to buy it, either $10 or buy the song for 99 cents. So, for example, in the first 2 weeks that Human Ink came out on Spotify alone, we hit over 600,000 streams. Okay, so imagine for 1 second if you couldn't stream it, but you had to buy it. 600,000 times $1, well, $600,000. If it's the whole album, which it was, that's what the entire album got streamed. So times $10. So you start to see the math.
Yeah.
And and so there's a lot of revenue being lost because streaming, the free download thing. And I think Lars was, as you said, he was trying to fire the warning shot up in the air in defense of artists, and not the Metallicas. I mean, Metallica's surviving just fine. They've shown that. I don't think it was ever about them. I think it
That's
was
mm,
I think it was about Lars genuinely trying to preserve the future of music with new artists. Because how are we going to get the next Metallicas if they can't make enough money to live, to have a family, to have kids, to send them to school, to buy clothes for them,
yeah.
to put gas in the car, to keep the heat on. You got to make money for these things. And I think that, oftentimes musicians and artists kind of get looked at as they're ancillary, right? They're musicians, they'll be fine. We don't think about, you know, just because we're a musician doesn't mean we don't want to have a family, we don't want a house, we don't want kids, that we don't want to put them through prestigious colleges. Um, and all that takes money. There's not a lot of bands that are able to do those things. I mean, even for us, I mean, we make enough on the road to pay for expenses. Like on the Saliva tour, we personally made no money. All of the money we made went into just being on tour to pay the bills. On tour, the bus, the gas, the driver, um, the person that we had out selling merch and putting together the awesome videos that he put together, hotels, like all of that. Like we made zero in our pocket. Like it was just enough, and we're fortunate. If we were a brand new band, it would cost us money. There wouldn't even be break. It would, forget about putting money in your pocket. Actually be pulling money out of your pocket to even go out and do anything. So I think it's just, and again, it's through nobody's fault. It's just that a lot of people don't realize and understand the economics of being in a band, and what the expenses are. Like it's not just, oh, let's hop in a van or a bus and just go play some shows. Like there's a lot of expense behind it, and it's more expensive today to tour than it was even 6 years ago. It's literally doubled, if not tripled. Like you used to be able to get an average bus for 350, $400 a day, and that's still a lot. But today, you can't find anything under $800 a day. I mean, that's the jump. I mean, and then you got fuel. Fuel, I mean, in most places is high, in some places it's lower, but there's so much that goes into touring, and when you're not selling music and all you have to rely on is touring, makes it tough. Really, really tough.
That's
So
not it's not even including how expensive it is to record.
right, and that's a lot of money too. And so you're spending money on things that at best is going to take a long time for you to get it back, right? Like that's how I looked at financing humaning. Was I knew I wasn't going to get it back probably in 1 to 2 years before I saw it back. Um, if enough people cared about the record to listen
Yeah.
to it, that'd be the best case. At worst case, I'm just going to lose it. Um, it
I
is.
don't know if
It's expensive.
I don't know if it's true. I read something a couple of days ago. Spotify if you get 1 million streams,
Mhm.
the band only pockets. Well, I'm assuming it's the band. They only pocket 3.5 grand for 1 million streams. I don't know if that's true or not, but I was like, it's
I,
crazy.
I don't even think it's I don't even think it's that. I think that's very inaccurate. So the breakdown is 0.006 of a cent per stream.
It's terrible, and it's
And also I'll say if it were true that a million streams got you 300 grand, then I'd be pretty
not.
wealthy.
Did I say 300 grand? I meant 3,500. Not
Oh,
300.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds probably about right.
yeah, that's crazy.
3,500.
That
Yeah, that
is,
sounds pretty close.
yeah, crazy. It
Oh,
and
yeah.
the reason why I brought it up, the whole reason why I brought it up is because there's a lot of artists these days that are trying to create a movement to boycott streaming services like Spotify, because they ultimately have a monopoly over artists and they're paying them peanuts. But it does make you wonder, what would be if they had listened, if the industry had been quick on its feet and listened to Lars, um, what would the climate look like now?
I don't know that an artist pulling their music off of any streaming service is gonna be helpful to them or move the needle for anybody. The
No,
thing
I
is
agree.
that the thing is that um it's not just the companies, it's that the companies have become convenient to people that listen to music. So what you're really talking about, just so you're removing your music off of Spotify. Okay, well, great. Now, no, now a bunch of people can't listen to your music anymore because
Yeah,
most people are not going. I mean, unless you're Taylor Swift or Metallica, nobody's going to go inconvenience themselves to go to yet another place, download probably another app, and sign up for it just to listen to a song that they barely even know anything about. Like it's just there's just not enough there.
yeah.
And that doesn't mean that I agree with what Spotify pays. I just don't think that's the way. I don't think pulling music off of it unless I think change is going to have to come from people when people are more willing to move to a different way of consuming music, just like what happened with CDs. People went from CDs and went, okay, yeah, streaming is better. All right, so we'll ditch all the thousands of dollars we invested in buying plastic discs and we'll go to streaming. Like people were given an alternative that was convenient. So really what would need to happen is there would need to be a new stream because I don't think the streaming is ever going to go away. It's too
Mm,
convenient. I think it's going to take for any meaningful change. It's going to take somebody or a company to come up with a new structure and a way that's convenient for fans to listen to music, just like it is with Spotify and Apple Music, but is also focused on being artist friendly with what they pay. That's going to be the next thing, whatever that is. And maybe it'll be these companies. Maybe they'll redo their payout structure, and it'll be the same companies, or somebody will come along eventually. It always happens. Nothing stays the same forever. The game will change eventually again, and where it goes and how it happens, none of us will really know. But I do know that it will change again. But I don't think that pulling music off of Spotify is uh,
I
not
agree.
making much more.
And you're actually dead on the mark because I am, like I said just before, I will support bands that I like, as much as possible. But even I have Spotify Premium,
Hmm.
or I have my MP3 player. So, but it's like if a band decides, oh, I'm gonna just take my stuff off Spotify or whatever, it does become a problem when I'm like, well, I'm not gonna go somewhere else. Like even I have uh, see that kind of stuff as an inconvenience. So you're dead right with that. The stance to gain nothing from. from doing that.
Yeah,
So I definitely
and
agree.
and it's not fans' fault. I mean,
No,
they're just consuming what's given to them. I mean, um, people like yourself, you're paying, what they're telling you that they want, so you don't have to hear commercials and have better quality audio, whatever it is that they offer. So you're doing your part. You have no control over what they do with that money or where it goes and who sees it, right? Nor is it anything you should have to think about
yeah, yeah,
for all intents and purposes. So, but I think I like streaming. I also miss the physical tangibleness, though. I wish and I hope that one day we can see both cohabitate equally.
well, I
Um,
feel like
But then that would mean people would have to buy CD players again, and nobody wants to do that. But there
yeah,
has to be a way, I mean, like the days of when you used to get a CD or a vinyl and you'd bust it open and you'd open it up and you'd unfold it and you'd see the pictures and the lyrics and you'd see all the credits and where it was recorded and
hmm.
like all of that it was like Christmas Day when you bought a record and got home with it and opened it, and that's gone, sadly. Like streaming doesn't offer that
That's
anymore.
just what I was
Never
about to
did.
say. Yeah, it's just what I was about to say. It's streaming as a whole has devalued the experience itself.
Mhm.
And like you say, like go to a record shop, you go to buy it. You're investing your time. It's not just a matter of just like the accessibility of Spotify just makes everything disposable. But when you're making the effort to go to a music shop, back in the day, you walk to a music shop, you pick up that
Yeah,
record, and you're going home. You're investing a lot of time and money, even before you even listen to it. So, and
yeah,
it's some. I mean, like I say, I'm nearly touching 40, so it's something I miss a lot. I do miss, there's a couple of record shops dotted around, but it's not what
yeah.
it used to be. It's really sad to see. Um, yeah,
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm always thinking of ideas and ways. I haven't come up with anything obviously concrete yet, but it's sort of been a little bit of a quest of mine to try to like how do you bring that experience back, to people
yeah,
again, and so in some way, shape, or form, where it's you can't wait to like get it in your hands and open it and like I don't know. It seems like there just has to be there has to be some new clever way that makes it exciting for fans, easy, convenient, and also has a little more something behind it, financially for artists to support
yeah,
themselves,
yeah,
have a life, um, just like everybody else, someone who goes to school and gets a job as a CEO or whatever, like they're making great money.
yeah.
Um, you know, artists should be able to have the same opportunity
I agree.
without being called greedy, without being called greedy, um, or or ashamed for wanting to make money to have a life. Like I think all of that, to a degree, some of that is what we've seen for quite some time now, and I think dating back to the Lars Ulrich thing. Unfortunately, I think he was well intended. I genuinely think that, and what he
Yeah,
was saying at the time. But ever since then, it seems like there's been this perception that rock stars are greedy now.
no,
And
yeah,
if you ask for money or say that you want to make money or you want to charge for something, well, then now you're just being greedy. And at the same time, we see Taylor Swift making billions, literally, of dollars, and nobody's calling Taylor Swift greedy. Her fans love her. They worship the ground she walks on, almost quite literally. So it's just interesting. And I understand that's also a different genre of music. So maybe it has to do with, her fans have a different point of view versus people that listen to rock music that, decry greed. Anytime an artist says, "Hey, we want to make money doing this." So I don't know. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I think that artists and fans have want the same things. I think what gets in the way is the business side of things, streaming companies, concert promoters, some of them, not all of them. Um, some record companies, not all of them, some of them. You know, Unfortunately, that stuff gets in the way. Um,
As I said,
and we'll-
because you're because you've been in the business with both sides, would you say the industry's actually worse off now than it was when you first started, or is it about the same in terms of the way the artists get shafted?
in some ways, I love these questions, by the way, because I talk about these topics with people all the time. In some ways, the industry's better, right? So you don't. The good news is you don't need a record label anymore to put out music if you're an artist or songwriter, right? And there are several ways to get your music out there and promote it. Um, it's sort of equal footing, and in some ways, it's not. Um, so what's not as good is the one thing the record labels did for the world, all of us, is they scouted out and curated the best music, the best artists that were out there in whatever genre of music you listen to. So if you were rock, they found the best rock bands that were out there. They found, if you like pop, they found the best pop artists that were out there. And they curated them, and they were right. I'd say 90 to 95% of the time, they were right. Right. And so, what was helpful about that for people like you and I who listen to music, we didn't have to go and weed through like we do now, trying to find, well, what's new that I don't know about yet that I'm going to love. That's up to us now, and because everybody can make music and put it out, there's so much to sift through. But so I think what's really missing that's become worse is this. We don't have the labels doing the legwork of being able to showcase, like, this is the best of the best out there. You know, I think that's what's made it more difficult for any band that's starting, or even bands like us that are, reactivating again. You'd be surprised how many messages I get frequently, or even when we did this Saliva tour. People would go, we didn't even know you guys had a record out, or that you'd put out singles before this tour. We didn't even know you were going to be on this tour with Saliva. I mean, we're happy, surprised, but, and it's every time I scratch my head and I go, how did you not hear? Like, Saliva's been promoting it. We've been promoting it. The promoter sometimes promotes it, but it's on Spotify. And so there's obviously some disconnect there, where there's a communication gap, and I think that it's because there's just so much out there. There's no focus on what people want to hear, the bands that people want to hear about, the bands that they care about hearing about. It's just become so much harder. Whereas, labels did that for us back then. They communicated. They had. You remember those? Did you ever do those Columbia House records, like, buy get 12 CDs for a penny, or whatever that deal was? See,
Yeah.
see that was the looking back on it, that was the infancy of marketing and promotion, like as we know it today with social media. Really what they were doing was they were giving you 12 CDs that cost them nothing. They were in record deals, they call them cutouts, right? And they allow for that. So like in our record deal, they had a budget for cutouts. So they were records that basically a cutout is a record that they're not technically selling, they're giving it away as a promotion, right? And they call that out because they don't want me going, hey, we had 100,000 CDs that we made and we now only have 90,000. Well, we gave 10,000 away as promotion. So you can't expect us to pay you for CDs that we didn't even make money on. So that's why they call them cutouts. So as a marketing tool for labels, they would take, a certain amount of cutouts from all the artists on their roster, and then they would send those mailers out to people and say, hey, pick 12 CDs off of this list of artists for a penny. And of course, what a deal. We're going to get 12
Yeah.
CDs for a penny, right? And all you had to do was pay the penny and give them your address, your name, and then it had other questions like, what other bands do you like? What genre of music do you listen to? How old are you? Male or female, right? And you send all that in, and for a penny, you're going, I got 12 CDs. And the label's going, we gave you 12 CDs that we're not having to pay for, but now you've helped us curate and market directly to you what you want to listen to. Now we know. And so they were able to do that back then. That's kind of tough to do nowadays. It does there's because there's no more records being sold. Like anybody, you can go on YouTube and listen to anything. You don't even have to pay for a subscription to a streaming company. If there's something you want to listen to, it's out there free. So there's no more incentive to give any of this information away anymore, which
Mm.
makes it harder though for artists, bands, record companies to be able to communicate to you, hey, there's a new Earshot record coming out. And we know that that's one of the bands that you love and want to hear. Instead, it's just all left to chance. Maybe they'll hear about it. Maybe they'll see it in their feed. Maybe they won't. You just never know. So that's I think the biggest impact, negatively speaking, that's happened in the music business that I would say is the biggest Achilles heel of everything.